Welcome to the Beef Lab. I'm your host, Coach Joe Strong, here at the Mecca of Strength and Conditioning, Varsity House Gym. The Beef Lab is an inside look at everything it takes to run a world-class training facility. This is the source for strength entrepreneurs who want to learn more about programming, training athletes, business development, and marketing their brand. We're going to show you how we took Varsity House from a dingy little garage gym to a world-class brand. Hey everyone, I'm Coach Joe Strong. Welcome to the Beef Lab. Our first episode, mass appeal. Why gaining mass is always a hot topic of discussion around any circle of meatheads, training magazines, books, podcasts, blogs, you name it. Everybody wants to be jacked and big. Okay? I'm going to show you how here at Varsity House we program for our athletes and general fitness clientele how to gain mass while still maintaining your cardio standards, mobility, and explosive power. Okay. I'm going to start off by giving you some basic background, my Joe Science rules. All right, my Joe Science rules to gaining mass. My number one rule, lift heavy shit. Okay? If you're not lifting heavy and you're not straining and you're not pushing yourself, no matter what you're doing, you're not going to get jacked. It just doesn't happen. You have to be lifting weights that are strenuous, that are heavy, that you have to really work to grind through, okay, on a regular basis. Not 2 weeks, not 3 weeks, not 2-3 months. 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right, of heavy training to really get jacked and put on a ton of mass. Now, you can go on a mass program for several weeks and put on a couple pounds, but I've been on a mass training program for 25 years. Right? It takes a long time to build a lot of muscle mass. Second thing you need to do is up your volume, right? As you train and as you become more highly trained, you need to train with more volume. What I do now as an experienced lifter will not work for a novice, and what I did when I was 14 would not have an effect on me now. You need to up your volume, up your weights, and up your intensity as you progress as a lifter from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 and so on. You got to feel the burn. You got to push through the pain. The end of the reps, the last couple reps, the hardest set at the end, the last set, the last rep, those are the ones that count the most. When the muscles are burning, that's the acidity and the strain that it tells your body that it's time to grow. Okay? And some people shy away from this. They start pushing, it starts to get a little high. Like, oh, I don't like that anymore, right? And then they put the weights down, right? That's when you push, right? Get 2, 3, one more rep. Okay? Now, I'm not a big proponent on a lot of forced reps or negative reps, but the very last hardest rep that you can get with maybe a spot or giving you a touch or so, right? That's when you're going to grow. That's what's going to cause you to grow. Okay? You got to eat big to get big. A huge part of training is nutrition. If your calorie intake and protein intake are not sufficient to develop new muscle mass, you simply will not grow. The body is a conservative organism. It doesn't care about being jacked and ripped. It only cares about survival. You have to trick it by giving it extra calories and extra protein to build new tissue so that the stimulus from training winds up leading to growth in muscle mass, right? If you're not eating enough, you'll, over a period of time, if you're training really hard, you'll actually start to detrain and lose mass, lose size, get fatigued, wind up getting injured and going backwards. And that's when you hear so many people say, oh, I just can't put muscle on. I can't get big. Okay? The people who say that they can't get big, most of the time it's because they're just not eating enough, they're not lifting heavy enough, they're not lifting often enough and putting enough volume into it, and they're not pushing themselves hard enough. Right? So that's most of the time it's a bunch of BS, and they're just not on the right plan, they're not training hard, and they're not doing it right. Okay? We've never had a real athlete or a real client that came to the doors that really wanted to make a change who couldn't put lean muscle on. Okay? What are the best exercises for gaining mass? I'm going to give you a list. Okay? And it's pretty simple. And it should be obvious for anybody who's lifted a couple weights in their lives. But the best exercises, the best exercises for mass are the compound lifts. Now, you want to work a lot of meat. You want exercises that give you the most bang for your buck. Doing bicep curls is great, but it's limiting to one muscle or a small group of muscles. Bench press, squat variations, deadlift variations, pull-ups, bent over rows, overhead presses, and those exercises that work tons of muscle mass give you the most bang for your buck. They also stimulate a systemic strain in your body. Makes everything strong, makes your core strong, okay? Makes your whole body strong, okay? And gives you the stable base to lift other weights heavier and longer and with more intensity, okay? So the best exercises then are squats and squat variations, right? Deadlifts and deadlift variations. Bench, okay, pull-ups, we love those. One of my favorites is a bent over row, right? Great exercise for working a ton of mass, okay? And any of the overhead variations, okay? We like to stick to some of the barbell variations here, but you know it's acceptable to use dumbbells in some of these applications. Okay? So stick to core lifts that give you bang for your buck. Work these in as your main lift of the day, or as one or double up as an accessory day, let's say. So I'll show you in a little bit how we put a plan together, but on a lower body day, I might squat and then pull some deadlifts at a lighter weight. I might bench and do pull-ups, or bench and do bent over rows, so you can get some of these lifts together into the same training day successfully. Right? I love doing my overhead lifts with my squats or deadlifts. I like that contrasting, and sometimes if I squat now at almost 40, if I squat and deadlift in the same day, it beats me up pretty bad. So I like to mix it up. Okay, so now that we know which exercises that are going to be our primary exercise, those are going to be our main lifts. So those are the ones at the top of the list when we're starting our training day. I'm not going to start my lower body day with some leg extensions. I'm going to hit those squats first, right? I'm going to hit the big lifts, and I can push the most weight when I'm fresh and I'm not tired. Okay? Now that we know what exercises to choose, what are the best reps, sets, and weights and percentages? Okay. Okay. Okay, best reps, sets, and percentages, okay, for mass. Everything's about mass, right? When you started lifting, when you were a little kid, you wanted to be jacked. You didn't care about how much you benched or how much you did this or what your PR and your snatch was going to be. You just wanted to be jacked and savage, right? So what are the best reps and sets, okay? You need to lift, we said you need to lift heavy and you need to push through the burn. So you can't lift for like a 1 rep max on 5 different exercises in a single day. So you have to understand a little bit about programming, and I'll show you that in our template. But I love pushing heavy weights, and I love lots of volume. So you kind of combine those into a couple different types of rep schemes, and you could work, the variation is unlimited. The key is setting up a template for yourself, sticking to it for a couple weeks, and then switching things up. Beating some of those numbers for 2 or 3 weeks, and then switching it up. Most people just come in every day and just throw something together. At least if you have a template, like I'm gonna show you today, you'll have something to follow, and then you just plug in new variables every couple weeks and keep switching. But some of my favorites, right, a little German volume, 10 by 10, right, that's 10 sets of 10 reps. So if you were going to do, say, a bench press, right, for like myself, I'll use 225, and I'll hit 225 for 10 sets of 10. After I've warmed up appropriately, obviously, and after I've worked up to that weight and done a couple reps. Sometimes I like to do those in 3-week waves, 10 by 8, 10 by 6, right? First week, 10 by 10, second week, 10 by 8, third week, 10 by 6. Okay? 225, 255, 275, something like that, right? Depending on what your weights are. I love doing 10 to 1s. This is a great way of still hitting a heavy number, working up to something hard, and really pushing myself. But I've done 10 sets of work. This is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, right? Work my way up. So I start with a weight, 135, 155, 175, 195, 205. You get the picture, all the way up for 10 sets, top out somewhere around 315, 330, 340, whatever you can hit, right? And that last set, not only will you have been fatigued and have worked a lot of volume leading up to that point, but you're getting that strain that you need. You're getting that nervous system push, okay? I like doing 1 to 10. This is hard, right? 1 to 10 is hard. Going the opposite direction, right? Warming up really good, working up to a good weight, and then hitting your heavy weight first, right? Now you have to be an experienced lifter to do this, but like someone like myself, I might work up in weight, do a bunch of warm-up sets, hit my first single at 315, and then work down in weight and up in reps. Another great one is 10 to 1 to 10. That's absolutely brutal. That's 110 reps of work. So if that's a squat day, you're crawling out of the gym. Your legs are on fire. They're so swollen you might not be able to put pants on that night. One of my favorites that we do here a lot with our athletes, because it builds up a lot of muscular endurance, is max rep or max rep for time. Okay, so max rep is just max rep. So I'm going to take a weight. Let's say I work up to a heavy squat one day, and then I'm going to hit my 405 box squat, and then I'm going to back down and weight to 225 and rep it out and just blow it out, whatever it is, 20, 25, 30 reps, whatever you can do that day, whatever your best effort is for that max rep. Okay, I love doing these with the heavy lifts, but you got to watch the cost. Okay, if you're beating yourself, you can go overdo it with a max rep. A max rep deadlift, you're going to be beat up for weeks, okay? Maybe days if not anything, but for a long time. If I hit a max rep deadlift, I'm usually out for at least, my back is messed up for a good week, okay? So you could do these, you could work some of these with your main lifts, but I like to use these and save these for maybe my secondary lifts or tertiary lifts that are usually accessory work, like a dumbbell rep out or a single arm row rep out and things like that. Or max rep for time. That's just set a time, whatever it is, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, and hit as many reps as you can in that period of time. Okay? Another great way to do it is a drop set, right? This is a great bodybuilding tool that bodybuilders have been doing for years, right? And when I was a kid reading a lot of the bodybuilding books and bodybuilding magazines, this was, Arnold Schwarzenegger did a lot of these, okay? Mike Menser, heavy duty, did a lot of drop sets and things like that. Rich Gaspari was famous for his volume training and intense drop sets, 10, 15, 20 sets, 30 sets per body part training wise. And a drop set is where I just take a weight. Let's say I'm doing a bench press. I got 225 for 10. I dropped to 185 for 15, I dropped to 135 for 20, right? And the idea is to either increase the reps at the lighter weights or at least stay the same for each set while dropping weight. And no rest in between, right? You'd have a couple spotters, hit that 225, strip the weight, hit that 185, strip the weight, rep it out hard on the last set. This gets you a crazy pump, right? Allows you to keep pushing weights, allows you to keep pressing and really straining those muscles and getting that acidity, getting that burn built up, getting that pump is what you need for growing, okay? And drop sets are a really good way to do it. Cluster sets, okay, real popular now, especially in like Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting circles, but you can use them as a kind of a strength bodybuilding hybrid, right? And this might just be, I'm gonna hit 5 sets of 3, right, at 85% on the bench press. Then I'm gonna hit 4 sets of 3, okay, at 80%, and then 3 sets of 3 at 75%. Now, or you can go the other way, you're just going to drop reps too. And this is a great way of kind of working in varying percentages and so forth into your program. I'm going to talk a lot more about that next week when we discuss Prielpin's chart. So key here, these are just some, there's a million of them. I like, another one I'll just throw out there is like a 5x8 at 80 to 85%. That's a real tough one. Most people don't realize how hard 8 reps at 80 to 85% is. That's a really tough type of a training program. A lot of times it's 4x8. I like a 4x8 there. But the key is continuously changing the variables, working the variables. You got to find out what weights, sets, and reps work best for you. This volume might kill some people. If you're not used to training and you're not advanced, and you come and you say, hey, Coach Joe said 10x10 is the way to go, and you haven't worked out in a year, you're going to be buried, right? You're not going back. You might not go back to the gym. This is what happens to a lot of my meathead friends, right? They say, oh, what do you got for leg day? I just did a 10x10 with 225, right? Oh, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. My buddy does a 10x10 with 225. He hasn't done legs in a year, right? That scared him away, right? So you got to pick and choose your battles here, right? If you're a novice lifter, cut that in half. Just do 5x10, right? And start off there. Add a set each week. Go 1 week 5, next week 6, next week 7, until you build up the volume to get yourself up to speed. If you're an advanced lifter, you can jump right in and try some of these. This is arguably the hardest, and that's going to give you pain and suffering for days. Okay? But these are all phenomenal ways to increase your output and intensity. The idea is to push yourself. If you're going to stay with 10x10 for a couple weeks, either up the weights or decrease the time periods between them. Okay? So another key here, right, is always up the volume, right? If all I ever do is 3 sets of 10 every time I come into bench, well then you're going to plateau out, no matter what you do weight-wise and things like that. So I'm constantly pushing the volume, and you can only bench press so much, and you can only take so much heavy lifting. So I'm usually using a lot of the lighter, easier exercises for increasing volume. Maybe it's 100 push-ups every time I work out. Maybe it's getting 25 quality pull-ups every time you work out, right? If you did 100 push-ups a day all year, right, that's 36,000 push-ups, you're probably going to be pretty good at doing push-ups, and that added volume will only carry over to your ability to press and move heavier weights when you get to be an advanced lifter. And the last thing here is play with your rest periods. Right? I want to play with my rest periods. I want to make sure that I'm consistent. One of the biggest mistakes I see for at-home lifters or just people following their own program is they have no idea what their rest periods are. So when I ask them, so how long do you rest between sets? About a minute or so. It's like 4.5 minutes, right? It's like I'm listening to a podcast, hopefully. I'm listening to my radio. I'm talking to a couple buddies at the gym. I'm hanging out. I'm texting my girlfriend. I got to check my Facebook page. I go do a set. I come back. I got to update my Instagram, take a selfie, right? All those things that go into like the nonsense at a regular gym. Here, when you're being coached by professionals, everything's on the clock, right? So if I'm doing a 10x10, right? Week 1, 2-minute breaks. Week 2, 90-second breaks. Week 3, 60-second breaks. Huge difference in variation there, right? 10x10 at 225 with 60-second recovery is hard. 10x10 with 2-minute recovery, I could probably do 20 sets, right? It gives you plenty of time to recoup your restorative processes and rebuild your energy. Whereas 60 seconds, you're barely getting over the set and you got to go again. So it's much, much harder. So that's a great way of adding another variable to your training other than sets, reps, and percentages. We have, we could add to here, we could add time, right? And that's really critical. A real critical variable in all of training is time, right? And I think everybody gets that, right? I do a set of squats, I rest 5 minutes. It's a big difference if I rest a minute or two. So, okay. So those are some of the best sets, reps, and percentages for gaining mass. Now, let me talk a little bit more about percentages, okay? And again, if you like what you hear today, please continue to follow us. Next week, I'm going to do a whole discussion on percentage training and pre-Open's chart of percentages, and we'll go into a lot more detail here. But for the sake of gaining mass, most of the percentages, right, is repetitious work. Now, you still have to lift heavy. Again, because remember our number one rule, Joe Science rule of getting mass, is lift heavy shit, okay? So I want to be 80% and up, right, for my main lifts. You can't do every lift 85% and up or 80% and up. You'll never make it through a workout and you'll wind up getting injured. So like an example might be, I work up to a heavy max on a bench press, and then I go to the dumbbells and I go as absolute heavy as I can go for 4 or 5 sets, and then I go to the row and I go as absolutely as heavy as I can go to the point where my joints feel like they're tearing out. In a couple weeks, you're going to start to detrain. You're going to start to degrade physically, right? Your joints, your muscles. You might pull something, you might tear something, and you're just overworking yourself. So most of the accessory work and like the 2nd degree and 3rd degree exercises are going to be in that 60, okay, to 75% range, right? And that's going to be for repetitious work, 8 to 15 reps, right? Where I'm pushing hard, but I'm getting a lot of pump, a lot of volume, a lot of blood flow on those exercises, okay? The higher percentages, right? High percentages, high reward, right? High risk, okay? You want to squat 500 pounds, and you're going to put 500 pounds on your back, right? You're going to get a tremendous training carryover, tremendous neuromuscular activation. You could blow out a disc, you could tear or pull a muscle, right? And you could injure yourself. Not saying that can't happen with the lower weights as well, but as you move up those weights, the physiological limits of the human body get closer and closer and closer. Anytime you put 400, 500, 600 pounds on your body, there's an opportunity for injury, right? And then the opposite, low percentages, low risk, but low reward, right? So, working down in the 60% range, 50, 60% range, like a lot of women do, right? A lot of health clubs and stuff, you see people in there just kind of using 10-pound dumbbells to do their bench pressing. That's not doing much, right? You're not going to get a lot out of that. So although you're probably not going to get hurt lifting 10-pound dumbbells, benching with 10-pound dumbbells, you're probably not going to get a lot out of it. And you're certainly not going to get jacked. And you're not going to be putting on any mass. That's for certain. Okay? So those are some of the basic background for putting a mass program together, right? We know we need compound lifts, right? We know we got to lift heavy, we got to eat big, we got to think big all the time. We got to stick to some heavy percentages, right? We got 10 by 10s, lots of volume. These are great ways to work up your volume. These are great ways to work in lots of different reps, sets, schemes. And we know we want to be in the heavy percentages most of the time, but because of the physiology and the fact that you will break down over time, you got to work these percentages more also. Okay? So I'm going to lay out a template and show you how to break down either a 3-day or a 4-day training template. Okay? let's start with our 3-day template. And remember, this is just a template. I'm gonna try and keep it super simple. All right, and we're just gonna, let's just say for the sake of this argument, this is Monday, this is Wednesday, and this is Friday. A typical meathead training split, okay? 3 days a week. Now, if you want, these are 3 days of heavy weightlifting. That does not mean that you only train 3 days. You should be trying to work cardio, push-ups, body weight stuff, and some other fitness and active lifestyle into your training. But let's say you're a busy, 30-year-old executive who wants to get jacked, who still loves training, who wants to be, put muscle mass on, but you got 2 kids and a wife, and you really can only get to the gym 3 days a week where you can dedicate, some real training time. Then this is how we'll set up that split. Okay? So, because you get so much more bang for your buck with the heavy lifts and the lower body lifts, and I know a lot of you meatheads out there, straight leg day is maybe once a month, right? But if you train legs hard every week, your entire body will grow. Squatting makes everything big. Deadlifting makes everything big, okay? You ever seen a world-class squatter or deadlifter who did not have huge traps and a giant neck and back? It just doesn't exist. So we're gonna say that this is my max effort lower day, right? I'm gonna hit my heavy weights. I'm gonna hit my squats on Monday because everybody else is benching, right? So now I know at least the squat rack's gonna be open because the rest of the world benches on Monday. Okay, so here I'm gonna hit my max effort lower. Now, I'll do an episode and please feel free to write in on the show notes or to comment in on the show and let me know if there's anything that you'd like me to discuss. But assuming that you do a proper warm-up, assuming that you do some cardio, right? We like to do a 10-minute cardio, okay, at the beginning of every workout. And that's 10 minutes of real cardio, a 10-minute row stander, a 10-minute run, 1.5 miles, not like, down to the end of the block and back. 200 calories on the Airdyne. Something that's hard, okay? That not systemically hard, like where you blew yourself out for your whole workout, but again, somewhere in that 70 to 80% max heart rate. That way you can maintain, well, your goal is mass, I can still maintain my breathing and my lung capacity to some degree, right? From there, I'm gonna do a warm-up, right? My standard mobility series, maybe some light squats, lunges, things like that. Maybe jump rope for 10 minutes, right? And I get myself going. And then I'm gonna put my workout together, right? So my workout might be, for this week, for this 3-day template, might be some type of squat variation, okay? Some type of squat variation. A box squat, a back squat, a front squat, or something along those lines that allows, okay, me to push heavy weights, okay? Let's just say for the sake of this argument that it's gonna be my 10 by 10. I'm gonna be working 10 by 10. That's probably gonna be somewhere around, right, 65 to 75%, right? So if you're a 300-pound bencher, right, 75% of that is 225 pounds, okay? And that might be a little, you might have to drop some reps at the end. If you don't get all 10, if you get through, let's say you get to set 7 and you can't get 10 reps, you only get 8, well now you know, right, next week you gotta get 10 on set 7, right? And you just keep pushing yourself, right? Then I might do some heavy lunges, right? And those might be, 4 by 8 to 10. Then I might hit a little circuit, a posterior chain, right? Some barbell RDLs and some kettlebell swings or a dumbbell wood chopper. You can use them with a dumbbell, okay? And maybe those are 4 by 6 to 8 and 4 by 15, right? The kettlebell swing is something you're not gonna go crazy heavy on. It's more for volume and repetition, right? So Here, I got my 10 by 10. I got my single leg work, so I'm covering a lot of my glute development and things like that if you're looking at aesthetics, but I'm always looking at it from athletic performance, right? You need single leg strength for all movement training, okay? We're gonna hit our RDLs and kettlebell swings for our posterior chain. That's gonna light your hamstrings up. We pick a core exercise, right? Whatever that core exercise. On leg day, we like to do weighted core, right? So that's a heavy med ball sit-ups, right? Roman chair sit-ups and things, anything that involves moving a load or moving a weight while flexing the torso. Side bends, things like that, back extensions. You might do a set where you do some weighted sit-ups, weighted side bends, weighted extensions in a circuit, something like that. And then a finisher, right? Every workout should have a good finisher. And on my lower body day, we're gonna be pretty wiped out. So a good finisher that I like is 100 push-ups for time, right? Try and get 100 push-ups done in less than 2.5, 3 minutes, right? And that'll really give you a great pump and a finisher to your upper body, right? And get you going. Okay, so that's our Monday. It's pretty simple. Now, you know, I might stick with this for a couple weeks. Maybe it's week 1, 10 by 10, week 2, 10 by 10. Maybe, you know, again, it's about the volume. It's about working the volume. Okay, and these are my favorite exercises. Now, you could go heavy. If I'm going to go, maybe I'm going to work up to a 1 rep max and then do a drop set. There's a million combinations. So, but again, you know, 10 by 10, nothing seems to work better for just putting on slabs of meat. Okay. Here, okay, my Wednesday, this might be my max effort upper, right? And I'm gonna hit my heavy upper body work here on this day. Again, some type of 10-minute warm-up, some type of mobility specific to that day, right? Band pull aparts, some push-ups, shoulder dislocates, and a variety of warm-up exercises that are specific for the goal for that day. So if it's an upper body day, try and do upper body warm-ups, right? And things that are in that nature, right? So again, if we do that, we're gonna pick our workout. Let's say we have our bench variation, right? And maybe it's a 10-to-1 bench, so I'm gonna start off with a lightweight and work up to something real heavy. And then immediately following that, right, is a max rep drop set. So let's say I hit 315 on the bench here, right? I'm gonna drop down to 185, 225, whatever you feel comfortable with, and hit it hard and rep it out for as many as I can get for a single max rep set. You could do multiple drop sets. It really just depends on your level and where you're at training wise. I might do 2 or 3. I might work up to 315, back down to 225 for 10, back down to 185 for 15, back down to 135 for a full out max rep set of 25, 30 reps, something like that, okay? Then I might do another circuit here. I like to do my back work. Remember, I'm trying to get a good solid pump, right? So I like to combine things, and there's an upper body day. So, you know, notice how we're not training like arms or shoulders. I'm still training like an athlete. I'm still getting an upper body day. I'm still training to train with power and explosiveness, okay? And I'm not just doing 50 sets of arms for the day, right? I only have 3 days to train. I got to get a lot of work in, right? And I want to hit multiple compound lifts. So again, I'm going to hit my bent over row, right? Another one of our key lifts, right? We had our squat variation here, right? And RDL is a good kind of deadlift posterior chain variation, not one of our key lifts, but it's still a great heavy lift that I can go heavy on, right? We got our bent over row. We have let's say we worked out with a tricep exercise like a skull crusher, right? And I'm gonna go 5 by 10 here, right? Because that's a back exercise, I can hit that heavy. And I'm gonna go 5 sets of 10 to 15 here, so that's a good volume of tricep work there. Then maybe it's a shoulder circuit, right? Shoulders and traps, okay? And shoulders, traps, and curls, right? So maybe I'm gonna hit, you know, like a plate, front raise, some shrugs, and curls, right? And what you do is, I don't really care. right? If these are barbell curls, they're barbell curls. Do barbell curls 1 week. Do fat bar curls another week. Do hammer curls with the dumbbells another week, right? Do them for 2 or 3 weeks at a time and try and beat your numbers. The key is having a template set up for yourself and then plugging in new variables every 2 to 4 weeks, right? And changing those variables consistently, okay? So I'm gonna hit these. Maybe this is all 4 sets of, 4 sets of 10 to 15 reps there. So that's just straight volume. Again, that's in that, 60 to 70% range. Plate raise, 35-pound plate, shrugs, 100-pound dumbbells, curls, right? 40, 50-pound dumbbells, and I'm repping them out. I'm trying to get a pump. I'm trying to push through the burn, and it's not max effort, but it's not easy, okay? Again, I'll do another core, upper body day, maybe some rotational, right? Throwing some med balls, plate circles around the head, band rotations, anti-rotation, right? Whatever, something rotational. And then maybe my finish here is 10 by 10 yard sprints, right? I don't want to just be a meathead. I want to still maintain some athletic ability, right? So, I like to work jumps and sprints into my training programs as well. And you'll see in a second, I'll show you some jump variations and things. And this is a great way, and nothing fires up the nervous system and just creates a total body energy than sprinting, right? Sprinting is probably one of the most natural athletic abilities that you can use all the time. And it's a great tool in training. And even for putting, and when was the last time you saw a world-class sprinter that was a skinny little wimp? Most of them look like they're jacked bodybuilders, right? All that sprinting, all that acid. And then our last day is kind of like a total body day, right? Or we could call this a power endurance day, right? And again, the old-time bodybuilder splits of going in on Monday and doing chest and tris, back and bis, legs, shoulders and arms, and then maybe another chest workout on Friday, right? You got to get another chest and gun workout in before the weekend, right? Really sets you up for long-term failure because you wind up going in for a chest workout, right? And I'm gonna do 10 sets of bench, 5 sets of dumbbell presses, 5 sets of dumbbell flies, a few sets of dips, and you're just overworking the muscles, right? You're overworking yourself. You can gain tons of mass this way, hitting all your primary movements, right? Hitting multiple primary lifts and working heavy weights and percentages without crushing or injuring one part of your body, right? If you're so sore and you can't move, right, because you did 30 sets of pressing, horizontal pressing, like bench pressing, chest pressing, right? Well, then it's going to ruin the rest of your workouts. So, this is why this is a similar variation of how we would set up a program for our athletes, but usually for athletes, it's more strength and power dominated, so the percentages and weights and sets are a little different. So again, on my total body day, I got another 10-minute cardio. On my total body day, I love jumping rope. I love pulling the sleds and things like that. And I'm going to do another full body warm up. Again, like I said, I'll do another episode on our warm up process. But squats, lunges, leg kicks, cradles, Spider-Mans, bird dogs, shoulder dislocates, some med ball slams. Right? I want to get the body fired up and sweating before I start lifting heavy weights. And so my workout here is going to be more power centric, right? I'm going to lift heavy weights, but I'm trying to be explosive. I'm trying to keep a fast pace, and I'm trying to turn the workout into a mini cardio session too, right? So maybe here it's going to be, right, an overhead press, right? Let's say like a push press, right? I'm going to do a push press here for 10 sets of 5, right? 60%, pushing heavy, and I'm going to do a broad jump or a box jump for 10 sets of 2, right? So now I'm getting strength and power output. These are going to gas you out pretty quick. You watch how fast your nervous system dies off from doing these, right? If you go straight, I hit 5 heavy presses, right, with the overhead press, and then line up and give me a real solid, all-out broad jump for a double, right? Take a minute break, do it again. That's going to gas you out really quick. Then I like to do what we call an IWT, an interval weight training, right? Or a portion of it. It's not a full IWT, but this is a great way for working in, you know, again, a heavy breathing aspect to your strength training. So I'm gonna hit a barbell deadlift, right? You could do a good morning, right? You could do, you know, a hex bar deadlift if you prefer that. And maybe that's gonna be 5x5, more traditional, right? Maybe 75%, 5x5, right? Maybe a little less because you're kind of gassed out here. And then I'm gonna hit a cardio stand or implement, right? So, and that's gonna be, let's say 1 minute all out, right? So whatever you have in your gym, here, obviously at Varsity House, we have a lot of stuff to play with. So, you know, maybe that's a 1 minute all out on the Airdyne. Maybe it's 1 minute of an all out row, right? Trying to sprint on the rower, the ski erg. Maybe it's a heavy prowler push or something. So I'm gonna hit my deadlift and then push the prowler 25 yards or something like that. Maybe it's a 1 minute run on the treadmill. So I set the treadmill up running, I hit my deadlift, and I hit the treadmill and run for a minute, right? This is a great way to get a high level of power endurance conversion, right? And this will fire up your cardiorespiratory system. You will be breathing heavy, you'll be pushing yourself. And again, you know, you want to be big, you want to gain mass, but you want to be lean and athletic and jacked. Okay. Again, I'll work in another. I like finishing my total body days with like a body weight circuit. And again, I'm just going for a pump. I'm just trying to get extra reps. And maybe these are push-ups, pull-ups, dips, right? And we'll just say, you know, body weight squats, right? And we'll do those, you know, you could do 10 to 1, 1 to 10, right? That'll get you going. That's 110 reps, or just 10 to 1, right? Or 1 to 10, or 20 to 1. Right? It depends. Or just 4 sets of 15, right? If you're a little less trained, right? You can do stuff like that, right? And then on my finisher here, I always like to finish Fridays, right, with a bang, right? Here at Varsity House, we call it our Jailhouse Friday workout, and we usually finish with some type of brutal finisher. But for you know, for you weightlifters and general population, maybe that's just a 1,000-meter row standard, right? So that's trying to hit a sub 330 row. Maybe it's a mile run, right? If you don't have access to rowers and ski ergs and things like that, maybe it's a mile run. So your best mile run is 9 minutes, right? We'll try and hit it in 8.5, right? And for 3 weeks, try and push those numbers, right? And do the best you can. Maybe it's running stairs, right? You got a high school field near your house. Maybe it's see how many laps of stairs you get done in 5 minutes and try and beat it each week, right? But a typical weight training program, you know, has a very little cardio. You go into a gym, I see, you know, maybe a guy hits the elliptical, walks on the treadmill, but nothing that really pushes themselves. Your aerobic capacity is what dictates your ability to recover from bouts of work. If your aerobic capacity is high, and especially your power endurance capacity, your alactic capacity, right, your recovery from heavy weightlifting is that much faster. So you have to maintain it a little bit. You don't have to be super high level, but you have to have some of that. All right, so let me show you my 4-day template, and then I will I'll show you. Basically, I'm going to use these same workouts and then just add a 4th day to it. So, okay. So the key here for a 4-day template is I'm going to change my splits a little bit, and basically this would become, right? We'll do it like this, right? This would become my total body day here. Okay, would become my Tuesday. Monday, this is gonna be my Monday, okay? So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday now is the only day that's different. This will be Friday, right? So I changed my split around, so, and then I have to add another day, Thursday, into that equation, right? So I'm going to I'll just put it up here. So it'd be a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday's going to be my max effort upper. Tuesday is going to be my total body, right? Thursday we're going to now add a volume upper, right? Like a real repetitious meathead day. And then Friday is going to become my max effort lower, right? Because I want to separate, some of the lower body work from the heavy lower, from each other, right? You want to give yourself at least 1 to 2 days in between. You wouldn't want a heavy squat on Monday, and then Tuesday heavy squat again, or heavy deadlift again. All right, so the only thing that we have to do to our 4-day plan is just add a Thursday volume upper day, right? And this is going to be, a lower intensity kind of volume day. And here it's maybe, again, we did our warm up, we did our 10 minutes cardio. We're working some volume into our warm ups, right? And maybe our workout looks something like this. We got a dumbbell floor press, a great exercise that I don't see a lot of regular gym goers doing, and maybe that's 3 times a max rep, right? I'm going to pick a light weight. I'm going to grab 60, 70-pound dumbbells, and I'm going to rep it out for max reps. Okay, that's a great way to build up some muscular endurance. Maybe it's a weighted pull up, right? Maybe it's 5 reps every minute on the minute, an EMOM, right? Another great tool for adding variation to your program, right? Set a clock. Every time the clock strikes a minute, I'm doing a set of 5 perfect pull-ups, okay? Maybe it's a circuit, shoulder circuit, right? Marine shoulders, right? And rear delt flies on an incline, right? Maybe on an incline, right? That's 4x10, something like that. Marine shoulders are just kind of up and out shoulders, or up, out, down, right? You can look those up. Maybe another circuit for guns and traps, right? We got some dumbbell hammer curls. We got some tricep push downs, and this is more like a traditional, bodybuilding, but I like to add like a little athlete flair, right? Maybe it's a dumbbell farmer's hold for time, right? So I'm gonna hit these for 3x15 each, and then this is try and hold those dumbbells for 1. I'm gonna grab a pair of 70-pound dumbbells and just hold them, right? Get a ton of grip work, right? Grip is really important for being able to lift heavy-ass weights. If your grip fails, on a deadlift, it's rate limiting then, and you can't deadlift a lot of weight because you can't hold it, okay? And then, maybe my core here, something that's a little more functional. Right? We just did a whole bunch of like meathead bodybuilding. So maybe it's 100 Turkish get-ups, and then my finisher here is some type of, a 1 mile run, right? I try to keep my warm-ups and my finishers to about, less than 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes of decent cardio, 60-70% to warm up, and 10 minutes of something a little bit harder, right? Or some type of metabolic finisher, something that really forces me to burn it out, push it out, and work hard, like my push-ups or sprints, right? 1,000-meter row, that should take about 3.5-4 minutes. Mile run, 6 to 8 minutes, 9 minutes or so, right? And if you do this over a period of weeks, put together a good training program, you should have no problem adding a ton of variation, maintaining cardio, assuming that your warm-up is, if you're warming up and cooling down, you need to do mobility work. You need to have a dynamic mobility series before you train. As you get older, it becomes even more critical. I need to spend way more time warming up and getting ready to train than I did when I was 25, okay, and so forth, okay? So that's it. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed what you saw here, and learned a little bit about gaining mass and what it takes to put slabs of meat on your body, okay? Be sure to check in and watch our show. You can check in for the full show notes on iTunes and on our blog at varsityhousegym.com. There'll be a download available of the template, and anything that we have here, you'll be able to get a copy of the show notes and download a sample training program and a little bit about our flexibility and mobility warm-up as well, so you can see what that entails and how to integrate that properly into your workout. All right. Thanks for joining me. This is the Beef Lab. I'm Coach Joe. This is Varsity House Gym. I'm signing out.